emotional intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, emotional intelligence. I know you've heard the word before, or maybe some of you haven't, but just understand this is something that our world is no longer teaching us. We have to learn this ourselves. We have to teach this to our children. All of these things are important if we want to design the life we don't need a break from. If we want to go off and design and develop a lifestyle that we don't want to change, we don't want a vacation, we don't need a break, we just want to continue to be there and grow. This is something where we have to really take hold of this and put it into place. Here's what it says in the text. It says the world class develops emotional intelligence. It says the middle class believes formal education is the most important key to success, yet studies show a person's level of emotional intelligence is far more significant. The world class places a high value on their ability to influence other people through their charm, charisma, and emotional maturity. While the masses appeal to logic, the world class realizes human beings are emotionally driven creatures who respond far better to emotionally charged words, gestures, and actions. Champions place relationships above all else in their interactions with others. The middle class goes to great lengths to deny emotion is the root of their habits, actions, and behaviors, although the evidence clearly shows emotional creatures operate primary from emotion. The masses believe their decisions are almost always grounded in logic and fact. The great ones know people buy with emotion and justify with logic. The one difference in philosophy has a tremendous impact on the results of the two groups, the results the two groups realize, as well as on their corresponding approach to self-improvement. The middle class chases formal education. The world class seeks to improve their level of emotional intelligence by studying human behavior and its impact on the people around them. Champions are always studying emotional intelligence topics such as psychology, sociology, philosophy, self-help, spirituality, and etiquette. It propels their emotional and interpersonal skills, and as a result, their success and fulfillment. This is a big differentiator. When we hear people, and it happens a lot in our society, that it says, where is it? The middle class chases more formal education. The world class seeks to improve their level of emotional intelligence by studying human behavior and the impact of people around them. So instead of going back to an institution to learn, the most important thing the world class learns is how to deal with people. It's how to deal with themselves. Emotional intelligence. It's something school will never be able to teach you. It's something another job will never be able to teach you, how to be emotionally intelligent. Yet this is the thing, this is the separator. We talk about it, the small things that separate us from average to great, from middle class to world class. It's little things like this. How focused are we on improving our level of emotional intelligence, improving the level in which we understand how we operate and how people around us operate? If you're a parent, how well your children will operate in life. These are the things that are actually the most important part of us starting to design the either EQ or IQ that we need to get to the life that we want. It's the relationship side. Daniel Goleman, he wrote this book, and we're going to watch a short video on a couple excerpts from a book that he wrote. But he said the secret of success is not what they taught you in school. What matters most is not IQ, not a business school degree, not even technical know-how or years of expertise. The single most important factor in job performance and advancement is emotional intelligence. How well do you understand and can manage emotions? All of the emotions drive your life, ladies and gentlemen. That's something we have to know. All of the emotions that we feel on a daily basis are the things that create us to do the habits that we do on a daily basis. So understanding how to kind of learn to grow in this area is going to be incredibly important. Let's watch a quick video on a couple of the things that emotionally intelligent people don't do, because then we can cross-reference, right? Again, success leaves clues, but failure also leaves clues. understanding what not to do in certain areas is almost as important as understanding what to do. And so for those of you that want to continue to build some forms of emotional intelligence, you want to get yourself to where you're above feeling certain things on a daily basis. Well, these are things to maybe pay attention to that we're not going to do moving forward. Let's take a listen. We'll come right back, talk a little bit more about it.
Most people think about emotional intelligence as a skill, something you can build and train with practice. And while this is partly true, there's a deeper truth about emotional intelligence that most of us miss. Improving your emotional intelligence is often about what you do less of, not more of. I work with many people who look like they don't have much emotional intelligence. They blame other people for their problems. They trap themselves in cycles of stress and anxiety. They self-sabotage as soon as they start to make progress. But it's my experience that most people don't actually lack the capacity for emotional intelligence. In fact, I think most people already have a high degree of emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, many people are held back from using their innate emotional intelligence by a collection of bad habits that get in the way. If you'd like to improve your emotional intelligence, learn to identify these habits in your own life and work to eliminate them. I think you'll find that your natural emotional intelligence is not far behind.
Think about a child you love. Now take away their clean clothes, access to water, and the roof over their head.
Criticizing others is often an unconscious defense mechanism aimed at alleviating our own insecurities. We're all critical sometimes, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. To think carefully and critically about the world around us is a vital skill. It helps us navigate the world and our relationships in an objective way. But too much criticism, especially the habit of being critical of others, can lead to the opposite of objectivity. It can make us narrow-minded and blind, especially to ourselves. One of the reasons it's so easy to slip into habitually criticizing others is that it makes us feel good. When you point out to yourself that someone else is dumb, you're also implying that you're smart, and that feels good. When you criticize someone else for being naive, what you're really doing is telling yourself that you're sophisticated, and that feels good. When you silently chuckle to yourself about how terrible someone's fashion sense is, you're telling yourself how refined your own taste is, and that feels good. Helpful criticism is about making the world better. Unhelpful criticism is about making yourself feel better. While being critical might temporarily make you feel good about yourself, it usually makes you feel worse about yourself in the long term. On the other hand, emotionally intelligent and self-aware people understand that criticizing others is just a primitive defense mechanism, and that there are far better, more productive ways of dealing with our anxieties and insecurities. Without knowing it, people who are constantly critical of others are really just trying to alleviate their own insecurities. Understand that criticism of others is a waste of time and energy, because it's all time and energy that's not getting invested in improving yourself and the world around you. Worrying about the future means living in denial about the fundamentally uncertain nature of life. As human beings, we crave order and certainty, and for good reason. Our ancestors, who were better at making their lives a little less uncertain, probably survived longer than those who didn't. We're biologically motivated to reduce uncertainty. But there's a big difference between taking reasonable steps to reduce uncertainty and being so terrified by it that we delude ourselves into believing we can eliminate it altogether. And that's what chronic worriers do. They're so afraid of uncertainty and so unwilling to live with it that they trick themselves into thinking they can make the future less uncertain by thinking about it constantly. Chronic worriers live under the illusion that thinking is always problem solving and that planning always leads to greater levels of preparedness. But neither of those are true. Just because you're thinking about a problem doesn't mean you're thinking about it productively. And just because you're planning, running through countless hypothetical future scenarios, doesn't mean you're any better equipped to handle them. Often, you're just making yourself feel more prepared. Worry gives you the illusion of certainty, but in the end, all it does is fragilize you. Emotionally intelligent people understand that life is inherently uncertain, and they understand that it's better to face up to this reality clear-eyed than to live in denial about it. Because when you stop beating yourself down with all the stress and anxiety that comes with chronic worry, you'd be surprised how much energy and enthusiasm returns to your life. When you stop insisting that the world act the way you want it to tomorrow, it becomes far easier to work with the world you've got today. Ruminating on past mistakes is a misguided attempt at control. Just like we humans crave order and certainty, we also crave control. We're obsessed with the idea that, with enough effort and perseverance, we can do or achieve anything. Of course, most people who get stuck ruminating endlessly on past mistakes and failures don't actually believe that they can change the past. Instead, ruminating about the past gives them the illusion of control, however fleeting and temporary. When you've done something bad or made a mistake in the past, you naturally feel guilt and regret. Chronic ruminators develop the unconscious habit of constantly replaying past mistakes because it briefly gives them a feeling of control. And feeling in control helps distract from feeling helpless, which is what we really are when it comes to past mistakes. In reality, no amount of rumination or analysis of your past mistakes will change what happened, which means helplessness and powerlessness are inevitable. This is a hard fact of life that emotionally intelligent people not only understand, but accept. If you want to move on with your life, instead of staying stuck in the past, you must accept the past for what it is, including feeling helpless. You must give up the choice to endlessly revisit it, no matter how much it distracts you from your real pain, the pain of helplessness. When in doubt, take action in the present instead of dwelling on the past. Do something useful, right now, no matter how small, and resist the temptation to replay yet another scene from your past. Don't give up control over your future by pretending you can control the past. Unrealistic expectations are a misguided attempt to control other people. Just like ruminating is an attempt to control the past and how we feel about it, maintaining unrealistic expectations is usually a subtle attempt to control other people. Of course, most people with unrealistic expectations don't see it that way. You probably see your expectations of other people as a good thing. Having high expectations for people encourages them to grow and mature and become their best self. Maybe, but this is still a subtle form of control. You have an idea for what another person in your life should be, or do, or accomplish, and your expectation is your way of trying to make it happen. But what does it mean, exactly, to maintain an unrealistic expectation? Simply put, it means you spend time crafting stories in your head about what other people should do. And when they inevitably fail to live up to those standards, you reflexively compare reality to those expectations and feel frustrated and disappointed. And how do you respond to this frustration and disappointment? By creating even stronger and more elaborate expectations, because it makes you feel good and in control. Look, of course you care about the people in your life and want the best for them. And it pains you to see them hurting or struggling or suffering. So, when you create a story in your mind about them succeeding and doing better, i.e. an expectation, you feel a little better. The problem is, you can't actually control other people, even for the better. Not nearly as much as you would like, anyway. Which means you create a constant vicious circle of sky-high hopes and grave disappointments and frustrations. What's more, eventually your attempts at control begin to be felt by the people in your life, and they become resentful. And if it goes on long enough, they may even act contrary to your expectations, simply out of spite. The solution is to let go of your expectations. Stop creating stories about what you want for other people, and instead, just be present for the person they are. Validate their current struggles instead of daydreaming about their future successes. Set real boundaries on their behavior instead of wishing for perfection. Meet them where they are instead of where you want them to be. Hang on to your hopes, but let go of your expectations. If you want to increase your emotional intelligence, try approaching the problem backwards. Instead of trying to improve your emotional intelligence skills, strive to identify and eliminate the habits that are interfering with your natural emotional intelligence in the first place. Stop criticizing others. Stop worrying about the future. Stop ruminating on the past. Stop expecting too much of others.
Told Told you we're going to do a little teaching this morning, right? A little teaching. So understand, to get to this place of emotional intelligence, there's some things we have to maybe get ourselves away from. Let's highlight some of those things you just saw in the video. And maybe some of these things are you, or maybe you just know some people that do these things. But hopefully, if any of us have any of these traits, we're eliminating them so that we can grow our emotional intelligence. First thing they said, stop criticizing others. Do we find ourselves in a loop of criticizing others, blaming others, looking at others' shortfalls, look at other people's shortcomings? Scripture in the Bible that says, right, before you take the needle out of someone else's eye, right, take the plank out of your eye. Before you're starting pointing the finger at somebody else of where they fall short of what they didn't do, look at where you've fallen short and what you haven't done. Total accountability. So are we in the process of criticizing others? Do you find yourself, or are you around people? Because again, we're the average of the people we spend time with. So even if it's not you right now, are you around people that have the habit of criticizing other people? Because if so, that'll bleed into you. You'll start getting that little criticism bug and, right, talking about other people. But at the end of the day, all we can do is focus on ourselves. Our actions and our attitudes are the only things that we can control. So for emotionally intelligent people, they're understanding, hey, we can't be criticizing other people. We can't be pointing the blame on other people. What is it that we have not done? It's a huge part. Second part, worrying about the future. Something that emotionally intelligent people do not do. Worry about the future. Yes, we're going to plan. Yes, we're going to think about where we want to go. We're going to get clear on our vision. Some of the stuff we talked about on Friday, right? We're going to get clear on where we want to go. We're going to write these things down. We're going to have a plan in place. Absolutely. But we're not going to worry about the future. We're not going to worry about things that are out of our control. None of us know what's going to happen in the future. You can't predict it. We couldn't have predicted a pandemic or any of the other things that pop up. You can't. So what's the purpose of worrying about it? An emotionally intelligent person knows that the road up ahead is uncertain. The more uncertainty, the better. I think Tony Robbins has a quote where he says, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can handle. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can handle at any given time. So can you handle your life being uncertain? Can you handle things being shaky? Because that's what the future is. We're not trying to control the future. We're not trying to manage the future. We have a plan to stay focused and to guide, but we're not worrying about it. Because at the end of the day, we have no control over that. So emotionally intelligent people are not worrying over things they can't control in the future. The third thing in the video was ruminating on the past. Emotionally intelligent people are not ruminating on the past. We're not thinking about what happened before, how things could have changed, the things that could have went differently. We can't ruminate on the past. You've heard this analogy before. When you drive a car, right? There's a reason that the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror, because you're looking forward. That is the direction you want to go. If you tried to drive a car moving forward by only looking at the rear view mirror, you would crash very quickly. The rear view mirror is only in relation to figuring out how far you've come, what's around you, right? How far you're moving past certain things. But we got to be looking in the windshield. We got to be looking in the direction that we want our lives to head. So emotionally intelligent people are not ruminating on the past. Sure, you can learn from an experience, but that experience cannot continue to keep coming up as a guiding force to where you're headed. The past is the past, and it has to stay there. It has to stay there. The fourth thing they put on there was having unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations for others. What you expect somebody to do for you. What people should do. Because you treat someone well, someone should treat you good. Because you look out for people, people should look out for you. That's not the way this works. That's not the way this works. if you're going to be a good person, if you're going to be a giver, if you're going to be kind, if you're going to help other people, then you do that without expectation of them helping back. You do that without expectation of them giving you anything in return. When you start to have expectations of what others around you should do, how your spouse should react, how your children should be, how your friends should show up for you, that's when we get into this place of, again, trying to control people and control things that are outside of our control. This list, criticizing others, worrying about the future, ruminating on the past, and having unrealistic expectations, all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is summed up by saying you can only focus on what you can control. Emotionally intelligent people are aware that they can only control what they can control. Their attitude, how they think about things, their disposition in life, how you choose to react to certain things. You have that choice. And then your actions, what you choose to do on a daily basis, your habits, how you treat another person, how you treat yourself, what you say to yourself every day. You get to choose those two things. But there's not much else outside of that that you get a chance to control. So emotionally intelligent people understand that side. And because they understand that, it removes stress. It removes some of the things that hold us down, that we are constantly thinking about and worrying about, and things that are holding us back from getting to the life that we deserve. These are the things that hold us back from designing our ideal life. So my encouragement for all of you today, my encouragement as we start this first full week of November, is to take ownership of where you are. Understand that growing your emotional intelligence, growing your EQ will take you further than growing your IQ. Growing how you react to things, how you handle things, your emotional disposition on a day-to-day basis will help you shift yourself in the direction to get to where you got to go. We all have different goals and dreams. All of you have different places you want to be. Hopefully it's written down like we talked about on Friday. Hopefully it's not just in your head and a wish of something you want. Hopefully you wrote down some of those bullseyes, some of those targets, some of those things you want to feel in your health, in your finances, in your business, in your relationships. Hopefully you know exactly what you're here for, what you're showing up to do every day. And now we have to gain some more emotional intelligence. We have to take away some of the things that are hindering us, like criticizing and blaming others, like worrying about the future, things that we can't control, like ruminating on the past and your past mistakes and the way that people have failed you and the way that, things haven't gone the way that you wanted to. Some of your thoughts, some of your dreams didn't come to fruition. That's okay, but we're not ruminating on the past. And we're not keeping very high expectations of what other people should do for us or be for us in our life. We are focused on us. If it is to be, it's up to me. That is the motto. If it is to be, it's up to me. If you're going to make anything happen in this life, if you're going to make anything happen this week, you're going to make anything happen this month, it's up to you to make it happen. Let's change how we think. And let's change how we're behaving, so that we can get ourselves to where we want to go. I see that question, Juanita said, what about people that have high expectations of you when you're focused on yourself? Well, good thing. Other people's opinions of us and other people's expectations of us aren't our business. They're not ours. Other people's opinions of you and what people expect of you and want of you actually doesn't matter, as long as you don't allow it to matter to you. If you hold high expectations for yourself, then everything will work out. If you hold high expectations for yourself and know that you are going to, again, make things happen. If it is to be, it's up to me. High expectations for myself. It doesn't matter what other people's expectations of me are. And if I can't meet someone else's expectations, that's okay. Explain that to them. I can't meet your expectations. I'm on my own journey. I'm headed in this direction. So those expectations, while I may be appreciated, maybe you're trying to hold me to a higher standard and a higher expectation. Thank you for that. But those are your expectations. They're not mine. I have my own expectations for myself and my life. And you got to be good at saying that to people around you. You got to create those boundaries because, again, other people's opinions and their expectations of you are not your problem. They're not for you. You keep high expectations for yourself. You keep your opinion about how you view yourself. Do you love yourself? Right? Do you believe that you're doing the right things? If so, keep moving. Keep moving, y'all. Cedric said, validate yourself by upholding your values and integrity. That's right. That's right. You're validating yourself. The world's opinions are not yours. They're not helping you get to where you want to go. Your opinion of yourself is what matters. Get around some people that can push you and challenge you. Get around some mentors. Get around some people that can hold you accountable. But you got to have high expectations for yourself and go out there and design the life that you want. I love y'all. I want y'all to win. You deserve to win. I'm praying for you and your families. I'm hoping that all of you are continuing to take in all this information and really allow it to permeate in your mind and then apply it in life. Because I'm telling you, if you change your thinking, your life changes. If you just take in new things, switch your perspective a bit on things, change those habits, those things are going to absolutely catapult you to the life that you want. And you all deserve it. Go make it happen, y'all. Take care. We'll talk soon.